Hello, everybody. And if you have just joined us, if you might, I'm going to mute us all. There we go. We're just getting a few more people signed in. It is so great to see everyone today on a nice day. And I know winter has hit us and we are waiting to get everybody ready to go. So hopefully nobody got too much snow. I know we've talked to a few people down in Southwest Oklahoma that saw a little bit, but seems like it's nice and springy out again today, and hopefully everyone's out enjoying that weather. So we are thankful that all of you were able to take time out of your day, and we are especially thankful that we are able to use our Zoom platform, which is a little more familiar with us, which is also allowing us to record this session and be able to put the recording back on the website. So that will most certainly be helpful and appreciated, I know, by many of you that have expressed the frustration over that. So thank you for being so patient with us as we were trying to use another platform as asked, and we've just finally been said, yes, we are able to use the one that we know is working well. So I think we have everybody on this there. I do want to take a moment and introduce a couple of our new people that are with us. So again, many of you know me. I'm Melissa Algram. I was formerly our director for reading sufficiency and have been for many years, but I know we got a lot of calls here recently asking about what was going on. This last fall, I was given a new position over our program director of our early literacy policy and programs, which basically means that I still get to oversee RSA plus a bunch of other projects. And fortunately, we were able to find somebody who can give RSA the time and attention it deserves, who is incredibly knowledgeable. Deanne Jones is joining us. She has now been with the department for a whole month, which means she is an expert on everything. But many of you have been communicating with her already through email and through phone calls. But I am going to turn this meeting over to Deanne. And as she is still learning, there might be times that she is still saying, hey, Melissa, take this. But we all have been in positions where we have had to learn new things. So we always appreciate your grace and understanding with Deanne as she is learning this very complex role. And but we are very appreciative that she is here. So Deanne, I'm going to be quiet and turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be in my new role and ready to get this started. So if you could just drop your name in the chat with your name and the district that you're at so we can see who all has attended to meeting today. Start off introducing myself a little bit. I always start with my family, near and dear to my heart. So I am married. My husband and I've been married for 26.5 years. We have 3 college-age daughters. So our oldest one is in graduate school at UCO, and she's also a newlywed. So we finally have a son. And then we have 2 younger daughters that are in undergrad school at Southwestern in Weatherford. So that's a little bit about my family. My background in education, I have been a teacher for over 20 years. I've been a classroom teacher for every grade pre-K through 4. And I have been a reading specialist for 6 years, for the past 6 years. I have my undergrad degree from the Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia, my graduate degree from Northeastern State University in reading, and I am National Board Certified in literacy. I've also worked for the State Department as an ELA frameworks writer for a few years, and teachers, they are always looking for those. And if you see that application come out, that's a great way. You earn a little extra money, but it is a great way to really learn your standards. That is a great way to be just diving deep into your standards and learning those, and then you will know them so well. And it's also a great way to help the state and teachers to have good resources to work with the new standards. So that's me. And now we're going to go into a few things that I've had the most questions about in the last month, people calling or emails about. So that's the next thing on our agenda is the Science of Reading Professional Development. In 2022-23 school year, last school year, districts that received more than $2,500 had to start spending at least 10% of their funds on professional development in the science of reading. We have linked on the agenda the guidance document that shows you things that are allowed expenditures for that, as well as the link, which is also on our coordinator page, for the table of approved vendors and courses. So some of the questions we've been getting are like, I'm seeing a vendor on the website, but the course I'm wanting to take is not one of the courses that's specifically listed on that table. Can I count that one? And the answer to that is yes. There are several of those vendors that offer multiple courses. We have some of the courses listed, but if a specific vendor off of our approved page offers a course that is a literacy related course, you may count that one as well. And you may use the tuition or whatever it costs to take that course out of your RSA 10% funds. The other things, which are, it kind of talks about in the guidance document too, as other related expenses to those courses. For example, if you are taking a course and you need to buy manipulatives or materials or dry erase boards or anything like that to go along with what you're learning at that professional development, you can use those to go towards your 10% that you have to spend of your RSA funds for that. Also included in that is stipends for teachers. So if you have teachers or you're taking a course that's on the approved list, even if it's a free course or something that is free, but you, or not free, that doesn't matter. But if you are doing it outside of regular classroom hours, say it's an online course and you're going to complete it on your own, after school, on the weekends, or you're going to some professional development that is on a day that you are not usually at school, then the school can give you a stipend for your time that you were spending outside of contract hours. And that stipend money can go towards your 10% of RSA funds. If you have any other questions about RSA funds right now, you can put them in the chat and we will try to get to those in a little bit. We'll have a little question time about that. And Megan and Melissa can answer those in the chat for you. The second thing that I've been getting the most questions on is the third grade promotion retention report. After all of those were submitted and our tech people or the people who do our data pulled those, it reset everybody's reports. So right now, if your administrator or you can goes into the wave and it shows that your third grade promotion retention report is not started, it's okay. It's because those have reset. We do have everybody's data. And so every single district in the state right now is showing that that report is not started. So don't worry about it. If your administrator comes to you and say that that's going on, don't stress about that. We have your data. Everything's good. Next thing on the agenda is the OSTP and RSA. This is probably the third thing I've had the most questions about, is when do we have to have our test completed in order to get back our RSA criteria results before school's out. So what we were told, we asked, and this is the answers that I got from the assessment office, is that OSTP tests are due April 25th. If they are in by April 25th, then by by May 16th, you should be able to expect to see your RSA criteria results and whether your individual third grade students have met RSA criteria or not met RSA criteria. So those are the important dates for that, April 25th and May 16th. Are we getting any questions yet on those things so far? Nope.
No, I don't see any other questions in the chat other than what we've been able to answer. So you are great to keep going.
Okay, perfect. Moving forward in Oklahoma literacy, we have an evidence-based intervention review going on right now. The purpose of this would be to provide more targeted guidance for districts. This will not be an approval list. So what this means is right now we are gathering information from vendors of intervention programs. And we are reviewing those, and we are going to put out a list, just kind of a guidance list that will be on our RSA website. This is not an approval list. So this is not like our screeners. You will not have to pick one off of our list. This is just guidance for districts who maybe think, you know, what we're doing is not working. We want to try something else. Or is what we're looking at one right now. Is this a quality one or not? These are just, this will just be guidance list of ones that we have reviewed and decided that they are quality interventions. But you do not have to pick one off of this. It is not an approval list like the screeners. Speaking of screeners, our next thing is statewide screener. We are in the process right now of adopting a statewide screener. So we are doing requests for proposals from vendors of screeners right now. And the purpose of this will be to provide a free screening assessment for districts to meet the requirements of the RSA. Districts will still be allowed to purchase their own screener and from the approved list if they do not want to use the one that we're providing. So we are going to review all these, get the bids from the vendors, and then we are going to pick one screener that the state is going to pay for and provide for districts to use. They'll be at no cost to the districts. So this would be a screener that you would be able to use for all of your RSA needs, all of your reporting, all of your making your groups, all of those things. And it would be provided to your district at no cost. But you will not be forced to use that one. We will still have our list of approved screeners that if your district chooses to purchase at their own cost, at the district's cost, they could choose one of the other screeners from our approved list. But if they want to just save that money, then they would be able to use the one that we are going to provide at no cost for them. We do not know which one it's going to be yet. We are still in the process of working through that. And as soon as we know, we will let you know which one it's going to be, probably in the newsletter, on maybe one of these calls, on our website. As soon as we find out, we will get that information out to you so that you can start making choices for your district for next school year, because this would go into effect, would be available for next school year. Next, we have our Heroes Literacy team. They are still out and about and in the field. There is a link on this page where if you want to go request help from them, maybe you have teachers you want to have some training on certain strategies, or maybe using the screener or using any kind of intervention materials. They are available to come work with individual teachers or groups of teachers, or even on your professional development days if you want them to come do a training on anything literacy. We have our heroes available in the team, and you can click that link and put in a request with your school district and what you'd like them to come do for you, and that will get to them. The heroes are also working on a podcast. They are going to start putting out a podcast about any literacy subject, and it's going to be called the Page Turner's Literacy Podcast. When it is ready to be broadcast, we will have a link to it on probably in my newsletter and on the website as well, so that you can listen to that good information. Last thing on our agenda is just a opportunity for professional development that you can click the link, and this would be a free registration professional development for you that's in March. If you would like to click that, you can do the AIMS professional development that's available there. We will have our next meeting in Tuesday, March 12th at 1 p.m. just like today. It will be recorded and posted later. We will only doing the 1 o'clock one. Now we're not doing 2 anymore, since we have the ability to record and post. So we will have that one at 1 o'clock. Any questions now?
Seems like we have quite a few about the statewide screener. I was able to answer several in the chat. And so, but a couple of things just to kind of summarize, if you don't have access to the chat, is will the statewide screener also meet the requirements for dyslexia? And yes, yeah, that's part of the provisions of the request for proposal that is out. It must meet the requirements for both universal under RSA and dyslexia screeners, so it can be an all-in-one. It must meet the needs of all students in grades K through 5, so it can also catch those kids in upper grades that might still need attention. And will this be available in the next school year? Yes. We are, like we said, we just currently have it out for proposal, so we do not have proposals back yet. All of our current approved screeners have been invited to submit a proposal to participate. But once those come out, we cannot discuss it. We do have to sign a non-disclosure agreement until we have made that final selection, just to make sure that we are going through a fair process. So, but know that anyone who's there has has received the information and can certainly submit that proposal. But we are making sure that it does fit the needs for everyone there. We will go through that review process so that the announcement of who that will be in late spring, so that that gives us time over the summer to make sure that everyone has a chance to look through that and do some training to make sure that all of our teachers are caught up to date on how we can address that. So, same thing was using that statewide screener. We will have full guidance available this summer so that you will have that as far as like testing windows, things like that. So we will have that. Will we pay for training for this free screener? That is included in part of the proposal that the vendors will be providing, is what that training will look like. So some of these questions that you're asking, which are wonderful questions, we have asked for, but it will ultimately be determined by the contract once that screener is there. So we know that teachers will need training because regardless of what screener that is, it will be new for some people. So we are making a plan to make sure that that training will be available to make this as smooth as process as possible. Another question that came up, and I'm just going to address this one, Deanne, if you don't mind, I'm sure you won't, is asking about Senate Bill 1906, which has been submitted by Senator Adam Pugh, which has some pretty massive changes to reading sufficiency. We are keeping an eye on it. I know Deanne and I have both read through it, looked at it. It has not yet been heard by committee. And what I do know about the legislative process is that in all likelihood, what has been submitted now is not what will end up being heard or not what will be excuse me, it's been a long day and I can't find my words. It is not what the final product will end up being. So please know that as we are looking at that, I do know that there are some large changes. If you are interested in seeing what is currently being proposed, it's very easy to go on Legiscan, and I'm just going to type the email address to Legiscan in the chat. If you're not familiar with it, you can go in there, change it to the state of Oklahoma if it's not there already, and just put in Senate Bill or SB 1906, and you can read the text of that bill of what's currently being proposed. So as it gets a little bit further into the legislative process, we'll be happy to give you an idea of what's coming. But right now, I just really don't even know where it's going. And because the changes are so massive, I don't want us to think that this is what's definitely happening. We want to make sure that this is likely what's going to happen before we start putting things out there and stressing about changes being made. But please do be aware. Yes, we are very aware that it's there, that we're keeping an eye on it and already making plans for if that does pass in its current state, what changes we would need to make to provide ample guidance for our districts to make sure that they're well prepared. Also, just to make you aware too, Senate Bill 154, SB 154 was submitted last year, which provided exemption for from RSA for certain students. And that would be specifically students who are tested through the OAP, our alternative assessment, as well as students whose primary form of communication are either Braille or American Sign Language. And that stalled out in committee last year, but it's still viable because this is the second year of a 2-year cycle for our legislature. And so we have made our legislators aware that this is one we are very interested in passing, so that we know that we have certain students that really do struggle meeting those requirements of RSA, just even if it's screening. So that would be one that if you are so inclined. Let me finish typing this. There we go. Senate Bill 154 is exemption for certain students from RSA, specifically students on OAP or whose primary form of communication is Braille or American Sign Language. So that one is, again, still viable. We would love to see that one pass. Anybody, I mean, I know that that's been often requested from our teachers across the state the last several years. Senate Bill 1906 are the massive changes to reading sufficiency. I would suggest that you take the time and look it up. It is long. It's a long bill. It might be some good nighttime reading for those of you with insomnia, because it will. It's excessive. So, but like I said, that's just starting its process. And so we will be watching that closely to see what guidance we need to provide to help make any transition as easy as possible. Let me stop talking and see if there's any other questions that need to come again. And I'll put that other bill number in the chat so you can easily find it.
Do we have any other questions to answer?
Well, we are incredibly happy to have Deanne on board to add her expertise. And I am going to put in our chat, we do have a common mailbox at rsa@usde.ok.gov that if you are sending an email about RSA to me, I am actually forwarding them to Deanne so that you can get that answer more quickly because she is well on top of that. And but that RSA at sde.ok.gov, Deanne has access to, I have access to, several people here do, but I know we're watching that pretty closely as well. So a couple of ways that you can get there, but I hope you'll take the time to welcome Deanne. To many of you, I'm looking at familiar names and faces as she's coming on here as part of our team as well. So thank you, Becky, for welcoming Deanne.
Okay, that's all we have for you today. And if you were thinking back and trying to remember something, this will be recorded. We'll have it on the website hopefully by tomorrow. And you can always email me or reach out. And thank you for all you do for our young readers every day. Goodbye.